Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our monthly chat with the mayor here on WNDI, AM and FM Sullivan, on what has turned out to be another beautiful Friday morning in the town that Clint built.
Right. And by the way, it's not a town, it's a city. That the folks of this community came together, but thank you so much, John. It is it's a beautiful October morning here in the city of Sullivan, where the sun is always shining even on cloudy days. It's just like, the, what do they call it? The eclipse getting ready to come in next year.
Yes.
I'm not sure what Sullivan's going to do.
Yes.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because the sun is always shining in Sullivan, so we might be exempt from the eclipse.
The eclipse won't stop us. We don't worry about it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's so
John,
good to see you, man.
Yeah, sorry, we apologize to the folks out here in Facebook land and WNDI 95.3 radio.
Yes.
We're a few minutes late. I know it's a shocker.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to believe that we didn't quite come on it. Remember, this is an 8-ish.
Yes.
8-ish show. But obviously, John, on Friday morning, you have your Coach's Corner show, and you've got a lot going on there with high school football and now with Pomeroy football with the St. Mary of the Woods
Which has been
Pomeroys.
fantastic. I mean, I love doing Sullivan games too, but being a part of the St. Mary of the Woods or family has been great. So
It's kind of like a regional all-star team
it is,
here.
man.
It's regionalism, right?
It is, but it's so good.
Only with athletics, yeah.
It's so fun, and hope everybody gets a chance to come out on Saturday and see our Golden Arrow tonight. Senior night for our kids. It's been a great year for our kids. We got a great team we're playing. Should be football weather tonight. It's going to be a little nippy, so this will be an ideal time to come out and watch us.
I was kind of debating back and forth, John, when, the Floss, F-L-O-S, the First Lady of Sullivan, always does a great job of having my attire ready to roll.
Yes.
But I had to make an executive decision whether you go long sleeve or short sleeve this morning. It's that time of year, right? We just don't know. But it's like you said, it's one of my favorite times of year. It's always great to have your marshmallows and your s'mores out around the campfire. And, I know this weekend, I know we usually promote Sullivan only, but I do sneak over out the state line every once in a while to the Palestine. Jamie's looking forward to going over to Palestine this weekend to the Wine Fest.
Absolutely.
Seeing some of the things going over there.
You're so lucky. You're the only one in town that has a floss.
A floss.
Nobody else can say that. How privileged are you? And to have.
I'm very blessed.
Oh my gosh.
To have the lovely Jamie Murray by my side. Absolutely. You know her nickname, John.
He's so sincere, but okay.
John, her nickname.
No.
Powerball.
Oh, really?
Because every morning when I roll over, I feel like I hit the lottery.
Just makes you feel warm and
warm and fuzzy on the inside. Yes. Well, we always have fun on the show, John. We always like to have a good time, talk about things. 86 days to roll out for the administration. This is we have 3 shows left. We're thinking about actually getting it right this time.
Yes.
And we're actually thinking about starting some progress. It's been 11 years
I think it's about
and
time
9 months.
something.
We're thinking about getting started. So, But a lot of things going on here in the great city, John. So many good people doing so many great things. And I think we got a heck of a list here of things we're going to talk to. And then we're going to bring on some special guests here in a few minutes.
Which will be really exciting. Let's go quickly through these. But, Taste of Sullivan's coming up. So if you haven't got your tickets, I don't know if is it.
It's going to be close to sold out. It always sells out every year, and then people get upset there at the end. So be sure to go to the Heart of Sullivan Facebook page. It's their 9th annual. John, you helped coordinate the first one, remember, when the Civic Center was brand new?
About 10 years ago.
Right. This is 9.
9.
This is the 9th.
It's almost 10 years.
Close-ish. 8 o'clock-ish, 9-ish, decade-ish.
But it was awesome. I mean, that was great. And they've been great every year.
8th? It's an annual Taste of Sullivan event, 8th or 9th. Now you've got me confused.
Okay. It might
Going
be
on at the Sullivan Civic Center, and it's usually the 4th.
No, it's the 9th. No, it's the 8th. I can't remember.
John, let's just move on. Are you kidding me?
Speaking of Halloween.
Brian? Is Brian? Speaking of Halloween. The taste. Did I hear no shit? Not only the music, I think I heard a no shit as well. It's the 9th annual Taste of Sullivan. The 4th Thursday
That's so funny.
of the month.
That's great.
Going on at the Sullivan Civic Center, located at 344 North Main. Be sure to check out the Facebook event page and get your tickets today.
So, Halloween's coming up. obviously that's a big deal for this.
Yeah.
I know you love Halloween. That's one of
Halloween.
your
I
favorite
never
times.
liked Halloween until we moved into our home, and
Really?
because so many kids come
Really?
over to the house,
Okay.
we make it an annual tradition at Lamb Manor.
Yeah,
it's
that's awesome.
always a good time there on
Yeah.
the front porch, seeing all the kids come up. We have a blast. We go broke. I take out a second mortgage on my house
It's worth it, though.
to get all the candy.
It's worth
but
it.
we have a good time. It is worth it to see all the kids' faces over and over again every year. So that's just a quick reminder that towards the end of the month, usually the city council votes that October 30th from 6 to 9 and October 31st from 6 to 9 is usually when trick-or-treating hours are here in the city of Sullivan. However, stay tuned to the City of Sullivan Facebook page. After the city council meets next Tuesday night, they will make that official what those hours are.
We had a wonderful corn fest this year as Clint Lamb's brother David Lee Murphy came to town, and what a unbelievable performance he
Is it
put on.
Clint Murphy or David Lee Lamb?
He was so good. And then,
Oh, it was a great time. Yeah, all the entertainment
all of it
was
was
that
good.
week. And of course, it was another great festival where, once again, only a handful of people, the Rotary Club, and we bring them on here every year. We appreciate the job they do. They really pull this thing off. They have a great carnival, great events, great parade. The Chicago South Shore drill team was here. That was always a fun time. But yeah, the entertainment every single night. But I can't lie. There was a little dust on the bottle here in Sullivan that Thursday night, and I think we blew it off because we were looking for a party crowd.
Yes, and we found one.
We found one on Thursday night. So yeah, DLM, David Lee Murphy, he great performance, and I don't think people realized he's not just like a one or two hit wonder from the '90s.
My
He's a
goodness,
Nashville institute.
Yeah.
I mean institution. He's wrote so many songs. I think for Jason Aldean, Kenny Chesney, you
Blake
name it.
Shelton. I mean, he sang them all. It seemed like, and then he had his own songs that were hits. I mean, he's remarkable, really is.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was a great time, Sullivan County Corn Festival. Thanks again to the Sullivan Rotary Club for making that an annual tradition that we all look forward to. If you want to get involved in next year's festivities, I know there's always a lot of online chatter and scuttle on what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Please get involved. Yes, if that means attend a meeting, or you don't even have to attend a meeting.
Right.
You can also just contact the Rotary Club directly and help make a difference, get involved, and
Tell me
great
about
group.
a special event coming up on the 21st.
October 21st is the Barktoberfest, I
Yes,
believe. Yeah,
yes.
Barktoberfest going on at Sullivan Central Plaza, right across the street here from Sullivan City Hall. That is the Sullivan County Humane Society. They're going to be putting that on. I believe last year they put on like some type of a pet parade or a dog walk. I know they all met over here, and it was pretty cool to see all the animals kind of dressed up for Halloween, and they took a trip down the Solly Greenway system, down Lovers Lane Loop. So they're coming back again this year for the Barktoberfest. So be sure to check them out at the Sullivan County Humane Society. It's going to be a good time.
So that's on
and
October
I think you can
21st.
bring your animals at that time, and also I believe there's going to be maybe some craft brewing or
Oh, okay.
brews and dogs.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with grilling out dogs, but I'm not quite sure. Check out all of the features going on there as well. So
One thing the city's done so well again this year, Clint, I know you talked about on our last show, you were going to do some asphalt work with the streets. I mean, my gosh, you guys came in. I don't know if you're done or not, but you've done a lot of streets already.
yeah, as always, John, we're always thanking our state agencies, which we're getting ready to talk to one of those here in a minute, but also a big shout out to the Indiana Department of Transportation. We want to thank you so much for Community Crossing, another grant this year, where we're actually we received combined with the amount and with the match, nearly $1 million blacktop.
Wonderful.
And we've done a lot of blacktop across, but there's always those folks that say, well, you didn't get ours. And unfortunately, there has to be a line somewhere, right? We do a Pacer rating where an actually engineer comes in and does the study and makes sure that all of the roads are totally evaluated, and that's how they kind of put them into a priority.
Well, that's awesome.
So we just finished that up, and if you
Yeah.
notice, there's some sidewalk improvements as well in that program, and ADA ramps as well. So I'm gonna do kind of a technical check here to
Yeah.
make sure that things are going well. If we need to continue, if we need to pause.
They said Facebook has lost some sound.
Oh, some audio.
Facebook has lost some sound.
Okay, well,
WNDI, it's loud and clear.
yeah, but it looks like we're back here.
Okay.
Yeah, looks like we're live.
Okay.
We have 10 comments, and I haven't really been checking, so.
Yeah.
Can't hear anything. There is no sound. But it's okay now. Refresh your feed. Well, we apologize on that, folks, but we're glad that you're...
It came back on, so
Heaven forbid we get one show, right? We're going to pray that the December show, the finale, the grand finale,
yes.
Technically on. So
Let's talk about another.
Yeah, let's just keep talking.
Let's talk about another. October 10th is a very important.
And if we go
meeting.
off, yeah, I don't know
sign language. Yeah.
Anyway,
the Sullivan County Long-Term Recovery is having another. I believe it's a Zoom kind of.
Yeah, absolutely. They're virtual meetings. They've been happening. If you remember, for the actual tornado victims, we had different forums going on right here at Sullivan City Hall, here in the council chambers. But then now, 6 months after the tornado, I definitely want to bring this up. First and foremost, thank you to the Sullivan County Long-Term Recovery Group, right? This is a group of volunteers that started the evening of March 31st when we all woke up on April 1st, 6 months ago. Of course, those were the initial hours, the initial recovery. And if you remember the very first press conference we held right here in these council chambers, we reminded folks that this is a long-term recovery. This isn't the utility companies are going to come in tomorrow, turn everything back on, and everything's going to be fine, right? It is long-term recovery. We still continue to mourn those losses, and we see that some folks are recovering quicker than others. We've heard people having issues with their insurance, and we have some people going through the channels with the federal government, the state government, all those things that we have talked about here on the show.
Yes.
But the pain continues for some.
Right.
I was just at the Corn Festival, obviously, last week, talked to a mother, and, one of the psychological effects of the child, they're still in a motel 6 months later.
Wow.
So doing homework and raising your family out of this motel room for the last 6 months, where some of the, I'll never forget, the mother looked at me and she said, my son looked at me and said, yeah, Mom, but the other kids have a house to go home to. So, there's so many different effects. We talked about the month of September being Mental Health Awareness Month, and there's just so many different things that means so many things to so many different people. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit as well. But the point is, the folks of our community still need your help, and there are different ways that you can do that. There have been 2 virtual forums, and there's going to be another one coming up on October the 10th. So you don't have to come to a meeting. You can join a Zoom call right there. And whether it's material, muscle, or financial contributions, whatever the case may be, they are finally into the phase where they can start helping some victims of the local group. Not that there hasn't been other help going on, but this is where those proceeds and all of them can come together. And I know there's people online that say, well, they shouldn't have done this, they shouldn't have done that. I'm here to say, God bless you for being a volunteer for 6 months, for getting crucified online, for getting whatever, but still staying the course, coming together and trying to find the most equitable way. It might not be the way we always agree, but the most equitable way to take care of those hurting in our community. So please, 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 October the 10th, Sullivan County Long-Term Recovery, be sure to check them out and find out ways that you can plug in and help.
You talk about taking time to care.
Oh, wow. And then some. On steroids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Crazy.
Okay, Senior Society. What are we doing with our Senior Society?
The Senior Society of Sullivan County, congratulations. They finally have found a home, temporary home / permanent home. Probably not going to be there forever, but they at least have a roof over their head at the Sullivan City Park Shelter House. Huge shout out to the Sullivan City Park Board for allowing them to come in, I believe, Tuesdays through Thursdays. I know this week they had planning sessions Wednesday and Thursday. So the question is, can you still rent the City Park Shelter House? Absolutely. So that's where that permanent, temporary / absolutely. Contact City Hall today if you need to use the facility. But hats off to the board that has just worked tirelessly and never gave up. Because we know we have an aging community. We have a lot of vibrant seniors in our community, and it's great. They're not just trying to create a club to hang out. We'd like to have them maybe on the show talking about it sometime here soon.
Great,
but they're looking to give back and make an impact, and that's what we continue to do as a community.
We are having our monthly chat with the Mayor, Clint Lamb, here on WNDI, coming to you live from a new room here in City Hall. We haven't been in this room to do the show yet.
Yeah.
So we're glad to be here.
Council chambers, finally. We were supposed to be in here in March, but we kind of had other things going on.
Yes.
Construction, and then it turned into, if you remember, for 2 months, FEMA was in here, and Governor Holcomb and Lieutenant Governor Crouch sent their resources down here for a couple weeks as well for one-stop shop. So multi-use building, and here we are in the wonderful month of October, coming to you live.
We only have 2 more shows with our mayor, so hope you tune in. If you don't get to hear it live, make sure you go back and see it on Facebook and follow what's really going on here in the
They're
city of Sullivan.
archived. The archived footage of the first Friday chat.
I think we've covered our topics.
We got everything else there on the list. Of course, just another last reminder that you mentioned earlier, tonight is senior night.
Yes.
So, yeah, be sure to check out the Golden Arrows.
It's a 7:30 start tonight because it's a trip from Trafalgar. So
Live from Sportland Field.
When I think of Trafalgar, I think of the great Chuck Wells because he went to
Chuckles.
Chuck
Yeah,
went to
Chuck
Trafalgar
Wells.
High School. He would always talk about Trafalgar. Well,
Wow.
the
That's
sad
an
part-
iconic Sullivan name I haven't heard for a long time.
But he was one that didn't live long enough that when we start playing Indian Creek,
To be able to go,
already gone,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And it was just ironic that as soon as he passes, we play a team from Trafalgar because he would talk about Trafalgar all the time.
Everybody's like, what?
Yeah.
Where? What are you talking about? So.
And now it's Indian Creek.
Absolutely.
Anyway, a little
Folks,
tidbit.
yeah, those are the items of interest. If you have anything else, go ahead and please comment on the comment section right now. If you have an event, something going on, we can't cover them all. This used to kind of be a talk show. Now it's the community forum,
Yes, yes.
the calendar of events. But we want to get to some special guests today. And our very first guest, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, from the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs, John, it's a show it's an organization we have talked about numerous times
Yes.
here on this show. Our friends at O.C.R.A.
Oh, yes.
We welcome
love
to the
O.C.R.A.
show the executive director,
Okay.
the former mayor of a city like no other.
Thank you very much, sir.
Huntingburg, Indiana, the pride and joy of Huntingburg, Indiana.
No doubt.
And now, once again, the executive director of O.C.R.A, Mr. Denny Spinner, my good friend.
Mayor, good to see you.
Good seeing you, sir.
Good to be here in
Yes.
Sullivan,
Nice to
as
be
always.
here
John,
with you.
good to
Yes,
see you here.
nice to be here with you.
Long-time viewer, first-time visitor. So.
Yes, thank you so
Ding,
much.
ring the bell. We're
We've
done.
been talking about this for several years. Getting mayor director.
Yes.
Can I call you mayor director? Director
yes.
mayor.
Denny's fine.
When I coach the kids, you say, Coach Mayor Clint Lamb. So you kind of wear it a lot of times. But anyway, so you're going to be both, director,
Okay,
mayor.
that's fine.
Director, mayor. We've been talking about you coming on the show here for a long time, and we're really, really happy to have you here. Obviously, O.C.R.A is near and dear to the city of Sullivan. I feel like we are an O.C.R.A advocate. We have utilized the programs to build so many different great initiatives here in the city of Sullivan, but not just here in the city of Sullivan. I know when you were mayor,
Right.
in Huntingburg, you utilized O.C.R.A. That's how you pretty much got affiliated with the
Right.
organization.
Absolutely.
You saw the impact that it can make. And so we'll just kind of let you have some opening remarks here of the journey from the mayor's office to O.C.R.A. It's a hell of a journey.
Yeah. Well,
And what's going on around the state?
well, to start the story, the relationship that Clint and I have had.
Don't go to the very start.
Really, it started. I was also elected for my first term as mayor of Huntingburg in 2011, and at that first newly elected mayor's conference,
Mayor's School, baby.
Mayor's School in Indianapolis, we became acquainted.
Yes, we did.
And ever since then, we've been partners, we've been friends, we've been somebody that we were both in our first terms as mayors. There'd be time we'd pick up the phone and said, "Do you know somebody just came in my office and said this?" Yeah. And so I had somebody else I could call that would. And the thing was that Sullivan and Huntingburg, demographically, size-wise, the issues that we faced as a city in
Southern
Huntingburg
Indiana,
were very, very comparable. So a lot of the issues, a lot of the learning that went along, and that was, we were elected in 2011, took office in 2012, and we had a tremendous group of mayors that came in
boy.
at that same time, and they were all there's kind of a camaraderie. There's almost like a fraternity feel with the men and women that you came into office
there's
with.
always a close bond with all mayors, but it seems like that group.
That group
and then when
was-
they gradually start to leave, it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, oh.
Yeah, and so we've and as you know, now Clint in his third term, those of us that were elected in 2012 or came in 2012, you're starting to see that transition out for a lot of them, but it's also the thing that you see with that group, and with all the mayors that we've been acquainted with, they're going on to other things that continue to serve. I mean, and that's something that you see across the board. So Mayor Huntingburg in 2012. Served the community for 2 terms, was elected to a 3rd term, and Huntingburg was very successful. We were designated in 2014 as one of Indiana's stellar communities. So we did a tremendous amount of work in our downtown. We addressed infrastructure, we addressed housing, we addressed quality of life. And those are the things that make a difference in a small
that sounds
community.
familiar, Clint.
Yeah. See?
Shocker.
So that's what you do. That's what you do. I mean, so we had a great opportunity with the Stellar designation to make some significant changes in our community, and we were my team was.
And I can tell you, in the year 2023, if you've been to Huntingburg, it's phenomenal. The downtown Market Park and the 4th Street, and just it's
when
phenomenal.
Clint became our mayor, one of the first things he did was establish this facility, the Civic Center, with the help of the
Yes.
yeah
To the north.
I'm sorry, yes,
It's very comparable.
And, when you became mayor of Huntingburg, what was the one of the first things you really felt like needed to be done?
Well, there were a couple things, but my number one desire, I guess, if I had a project that I really wanted to get done in Huntingburg when I became mayor, Huntingburg is a north-south town. I don't know if you've ever been through Huntingburg.
Yeah.
US 231 runs through Huntingburg, so we're a north-south town.
Sure.
And most of the activity, is north and south, but we have the Norfolk Southern Railway that runs east-west, and so 22 times a day, there would be a train running through Huntingburg, and everything stopped. I mean, so it was and it had been a conversation point in Huntingburg for decades.
Yeah.
We need some way to get around, and it was a public safety issue. I saw it as a public safety issue. So when that train goes through town, and you've got the hospital on the north side and police station on the south side, you've got issues.
Absolutely.
So a railroad overpass was something that Huntingburg had desired for a long time, and that was really one of the top things on my list.
Gotcha.
Through a lot of things that happened, a lot of good things happened to make this possible. But we were able to secure with the Indiana Department of Transportation a grade separation project is what the official title is.
Okay.
A grade separation project that was built on the north side of Huntingburg that allowed when the train would come through, the flashing light would go on the north side if you're coming in, and you could take the bypass and go around. And what that really did, and the great thing about that was it was the budget for that. We didn't quite have enough to do it, but we went to our county, and the county agreed that this was a public safety matter that the county could join in. And so it was really my first experience of collaboration between city and county government. And we said, okay, this is a common need. Let's do this. And the county commissioners.
Because the folks in Huntingburg are Du Bois County residents.
And the thing that we talked about, to be quite honest, the county had a bridge fund.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what it was for. And we said, they were going to be the ones that maintained this long term because it was a bridge. And so we wanted them in on the design. We wanted them in on the conversation. So we opened the overpass, and that connected Huntingburg north and south really for the first time. And it was a public safety issue, but it was also
a morale issue.
It felt like, okay, we've overcome this.
Yeah.
And we used that project kind of, John, to as a center point for a lot of our Stellar work.
Right.
Because the housing development that we built as part of Stellar, single family housing was on the north side. But that overpass connected them to the downtown.
Sure.
They weren't isolated. If you were going to go into the new subdivision, build a new home there, buy a home there, there was a way for you to get, we had a walking trail across that goes directly into a city park, which is 2 blocks away from the downtown.
Parks, walkability.
Trails. So it was all
sounds familiar.
So that overpass was kind of the key.
Collaboration with other entities.
Yeah. So I learned a lot about that process. It was collaboration with the state. It was collaboration with the county. It was so that kind of gave us the footage to go after the Stellar Communities designation. And so we had some momentum, and it
Wonderful.
just So it was I can remember that the day that we knew we were going to at the city council meeting where we were going to announce that this deal had come across.
Yes.
Our local newspaper at the time, the Herald there in Jasper, had a section on Saturdays that said "Looking Back," and it had like clips from historical, 50 years ago.
Yes.
I mean, so on the Tuesday night's meeting, we're going to announce the overpass. I'm reading the Looking Back section, and in 50 years it goes as, at tonight's council meeting, Mayor Del Helmrich discussed with the council the possibility of a railroad overpass.
Oh my goodness!
50 years of
we have hanging on the wall a 1980 plan that suggests everything you're saying today.
So
that feeling.
So that was quite an accomplishment for the city.
Sure.
That was one of those things that we had a desire to do for a long time. So, but so that was kind of the kickoff of it all.
And that is more than a project. It sparks the interest. It sparks the enthusiasm. the passion you already had for Huntingburg, but now the people come along, and now you've continued to carry that passion along.
It was a validation that we could get something done as a community. It was something
kind of like a trash barrel with 4 stop signs at the corner of Section in Washington.
Right.
If you remember, we started with the trash.
Yes.
We did at the corner of.
Absolutely.
We had a trash barrel with 4 stop signs in it.
I remember.
And we finally put it all together.
And that, like I say, Clint and I have known each other through this whole time, and we've been connected. And there are projects like that here in Sullivan that did the same thing. We're the spark for what happens next.
Right.
Yes.
So it gives the community a sense that. Well, we can do something. We can take an issue.
Yeah.
We can solve
The
it.
defeated mindset finally.
Yeah, it was not
overnight.
No, but it takes a while. Yeah, absolutely. So I was great.
That's a great story.
Yeah. So that was one of the I'm very proud of that.
Sure.
But again, it was a coordination through a lot of people that made this happen.
Yeah, and since then you created a downtown plaza
Right.
out of your stellar. You redid your downtown Main Street, lights, banners,
It's awesome.
flowers, and
Yeah.
the vibrancy, and then a place for concerts and music and a plaza of some sort.
Yeah. We took an old, I guess what I like to call it, the most municipal parking lot you hoped to ever see.
Those are beauties.
It was a very municipal parking lot, and blacktop galore.
Blacktop blind. Blacktop blind. You gotta love sea of cars. That's why I want to go there.
We saw this as an area that we
Yes.
didn't. We weren't the county seat, so we didn't have the square where it was a kind of a natural gathering spot. We didn't have a community space where we could all gather. And we saw this parking lot, and we saw an opportunity to, and it was in the middle of the downtown. There were infrastructure problems in the downtown, so we fixed the infrastructure underneath.
Old aging infrastructure in their decades.
Yeah, and then built a beautiful park on top of it that has a farmer's market, a pavilion, a performance pavilion, and now from April to October, there's an event every month in the park, free music. Huntingburg Haunted Huntingburg Festival's coming up. You come down,
Put it on the list.
Haunted Huntingburg. It's blues music all day long and beverages, local craft brews, all that kind of thing, and it's just a great opportunity.
So through all of this, all the things that you've accomplished with the people that worked with you and for you, do you feel like now your people have more pride in your community than before you started?
I think that's the thing that is more. The projects are great, but it's nice to have one of my campaign themes when I ran the first time. I had 3 words that I used, and one of them was pride, because Huntingburg was a great city. We just didn't recognize it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and one of the things I say now as director of O.C.R.A, as I work with local mayors and local units of government,
Yes.
when I meet a newly elected official, or I'm in a town for the first time, and I meet Mayor Smith from whatever town, I said, well, how many people live in your community? And they say, 8,000. And I'll say, why? Because people can choose to live
Absolutely
anywhere.
Right. And we live 42 million Americans are working from home now.
Right.
We knew this in 2011 and 12 before COVID.
Yeah.
Like the successful communities were planning for building a community, not chasing the big one, this big smokestack.
Right.
It's great if you land it, right? It would be great. However, at the end of the day, you need to build a community where people want to live. And especially now with fiber broadband all over your city, things we've talked about.
Right.
Why do we want to live there?
And
we'll choose to live first, and then we'll seek employment.
And people are passionate about where they live. People are passionate. People who live in Sullivan are choosing.
You think we're passionate people?
You're choosing to live in Sullivan. And people chose to live in Huntingburg. And our goal was to say, find out what that is. What is the core that makes people passionate about their community? And when you can find that out and you start building on that, let's have some successes on the things that we all agree on.
Yeah.
We all agree that this needs to be done. Well, let's do that.
And that might be the hardest thing to do,
the
isn't
consensus.
it? I mean, because to try to get people to understand, that this is a wonderful community, that this is progress, that we are doing things and going in the right direction.
Right.
And people may not always agree with what the city is doing, but I think if you look at all what Clint and his administration has done, it's shown people that we do have a great place to live. We
And
have
that-
a
and-
beautiful downtown.
And again, back to that, the story of the overpass. But then that was the Clint has had successes here. When you have that first success, they can say, okay, if we can take on this issue, let's take on something maybe a little tougher.
Yeah.
But we can build that consensus.
And
we
they
can
don't
build a
happen
partnership.
overnight.
And they don't. It takes a process.
Right, right.
And that's something I think, and I learned from other mayors. You watch that, and I noticed online as before I came over some of the comments. I noticed that Mayor Snedeker is watching today.
Mayor Snedeker from Hobart.
And I will be in Hobart. I've committed. I saw him at an event. He said, "How come you never come to Hobart?" And I said, "So I'm end of
Coming
October."
to Hobart.
Mayor,
Going to
I'll see you at Hobart.
Mayor Bryant, great guy.
Yeah.
Another mayor that's not seeking re-election,
Yeah.
number 33, that decided not to. So
Yeah.
we talk about the passion and obviously
Yeah.
your love for Huntingburg, and which makes it even harder when it's time to say goodbye.
Right.
Does it not?
Yes, absolutely.
So if you could talk about when you got the call from the lieutenant governor, you're in the middle of fighting for Huntingburg. You're starting to get all these great things. The stellar projects are coming to fruition. You're getting things finally coming along. Huntingburg is on the right track. Lieutenant governor taps you on the shoulder, gives you a call, and says. So kind of talk about those days, how it felt emotionally, how it felt professionally, and what you've been able to accomplish since then.
Well, I think that Clint, I just got reelected to the third term
In 2019.
and so I've just been reelected to the third term, and I it took a lot of this. My wife and I had made a lot of thoughts about should we seek the third term, but when we did, we were successful, and so things were going well. I had a great community. We had some momentum. Things were going well. And one day, the lieutenant governor calls and says, well, "There's an opening at the Office of Rural Affairs. Would you be considered being a candidate for the job?" And it was. First of all, I was amazed that I was even on the list. But so then I got thinking about it, and I was very committed. I had just run for election. I was committed to the citizens of Huntingburg to serve out a term.
Right.
So I wanted to
Sure.
not discount that at all.
Right.
But I also wanted to see. I took it as a great compliment that Lieutenant Governor Crouch made the decision. O.C.R.A. had many wonderful directors, different skill sets, different backgrounds, but this was the first time.
And I want to make it a point before I forget, we have had a former Jody Golden. Remember, she was on our show a couple years ago.
Right.
So
That's right.
if Jody's watching this morning, I know sometimes she's shout out to her. Much love to you, Jody.
So the Lieutenant Governor, in filling this position, we're one of the four agencies that she oversees, and as a Lieutenant Governor, she was asking a local unit of government, somebody representing local government, to head the agency. Okay. And I felt I felt some obligation to my fellow mayors
and
that I had
cheering you on.
And it's like, for the first time, a client is coming in to consider this. I talked to a lot of folks about taking this job, and my brother-in-law, who's been a very successful businessman all along, he was somebody that I was talking to, getting advice from, and he was a CEO, and he said, when I have an opening, I look for one of my best customers to see if I can take them into because they understand what that is. And I that was something resonated with me, that I have an opportunity.
It's been a while since a mayor had come into some of these positions.
Yeah, so
Blair Milo, she joined the state in the capacity. Mayor McGinnis from Franklin was a director of NDOT. At the same time, you were coming in. So it was just great to see all the mayors at that level that actually have to implement these programs.
And that's the thing that I think what mayors do is solve problems most of the time. That's basically what we're trying to do.
We solve problems you don't know you have in ways you'll never understand. You're welcome. That's a coffee mug my wife got.
So I thought it was a great opportunity to take.
Absolutely.
To be an advocate for the folks that I've become great friends with across the state, and to lead the agency and to give a voice to some of our local units of government that maybe felt disconnected from O.C.R.A. for whatever reason it might be.
Right.
And the reception that I got first of all from my staff, they accepted this crazy guy from Southern Indiana coming in and thinking in a different way.
There was more than one Southern Indiana crazy guy.
and then being able to take the message that Lieutenant Governor Crouch, who is a champion for rural Indiana,
Absolutely.
and the great examples right here. I think maybe she was one of the first people to arrive in Sullivan.
She was the first after the morning, April 1st.
Yeah.
She was here early that morning.
Yeah.
Governor Holcomb came that afternoon. But yeah, and you
So
know,
I-
and she'd always been there. The office had always been there. So it didn't even surprise you that
Yeah.
they were first on the scene.
But the decision to leave was very difficult because I had there's no job, the best job I've ever had, and I've told the lieutenant governor this before I took this job. I said, I'm at the end of my career, whenever that comes, when people ask me what's the best job you ever had, it's going to be mayor of Huntingburg, because I had the honor of representing the folks that I grew up with and lived with, and we cried with and laughed with and celebrated with and
Argued with, fought with, hugged with, cried with, loved.
and there's no better job. So as I walked away from that was very difficult. But the opportunity to serve at a larger level was also very attractive.
Well, you're continuing to make an impact. Period.
Yeah, so that's positive. But so now, what do you do with O.C.R.A?
Well, as the director, we oversee many programs, and Clint and I can talk about. I'll let him tell the story that as we look out this window right here, one of the impacts that O.C.R.A has had. O.C.R.A does a lot of what we call infrastructure grants, water, sewers, public facilities, things, blight elimination. Those are some of our programs. So I mean, so we do a lot of that work, and it's the work that I look at it as, if you can't provide basic services in your community, you're fighting uphill against everything. So if we can provide clean water, if we can provide safe streets, if we can provide public facilities where people can gather and come together, if we can provide connectivity, broadband is part of our portfolio. How do we get people connected to the to the internet?
The Main Street organization. Our Heart of Sullivan.
Heart of Sullivan is one of our Main Street programs in Indiana. A great. And the thing I love about Main Street, which is it's a very grassroots, it's people driven, it's volunteer driven, and the number of hours, the number of things that happen in our communities all across the state of Indiana, as you were talking before, Heart of Sullivan with the events that are happening there. Passionate people.
Downtown Christmas coming up.
Everything that they do is for the benefit of the community. So that's one of the programs that I really, as O.C.R.A, we oversee, and so that those are all things that we do, and we work with communities. And if I'll let Clint tell the story much better about what we're looking at right now.
Sure, yeah.
O.C.R.A had a big role in.
Talk about that big project, that big start. We were asking people to come in with pride again when we first took office. We knew that we had to raise the assessed value. It had dramatically dropped. The population of the city of Sullivan had been dropping at that time for 32 straight years since 1980's peak when Hoosier Energy came. So you're fighting a stagnant, declining population. Right. Your assessed value continues to drop after the Great Recession. You have mortgage foreclosures. You have dilapidated properties all over. And basically at the same time, you're in the 91st unhealthiest county out of 92. You have a 0.3% local income tax.
Wow.
What Greene County is 2.15. I'm not sure what Du Bois County is. Yeah, over 2% now. So it's like at that time, everything, a 35% circuit breaker, one of the largest circuit breakers in the state, which is your tax cap. It's great. You save a couple $100 in your taxes. But each year that grows. What started at a $300,000 loss is now today a $720,000 loss every year.
Wow.
Not one time. Every year the city of Sullivan doesn't have that. So you have all of these things going against you. But staring in our face was the big white elephant across the street. It was that scream of defeat, that scream of isolation, the old Central Elementary School, a place that was prosperous at one time, a place that drove activity to the downtown, where we met each other, where we were educated, where our community's character was molded, where we literally formed our relationships. And people all over the Southwest School Corporation would come into downtown Sullivan every morning to benefit your Main Street and your downtown right here at the Central School. And then it was the home of the feral cats. Right? and rats and raccoons and drug deals and everything else, and you name it. So what was the pride and joy and the synergy of the community turned into the symbol of defeat. So to overcome that symbol of defeat, we knew that we had to do something with that property. And while it was nostalgic and it was sad to see come down, we had to have a clean start. And the name of the initiative was It All Starts Here. We knew the rebirth of the city was going to start physically and particularly in one place, and there would be no better grounds than the sacred grounds located here just across the street from the city hall. So at that time, that's when I first really got associated with O.C.R.A. Where do we go? We brought in some folks. Surround yourself with only the best. Only the best. We put only the best people all around us. So we brought in a group of people to come together. So we tried with O.C.R.A. We did our first comprehensive master plan since 1945.
Yeah.
It was updated in 1968, funded by the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. And it was more than just a plan that just held a doorstop that kept the door open, that sat on a shelf and collected dust like the last one. It had to be a playbook. And out of that playbook said, let's get your central location taken care of. So then came another $440,000 there to tear that down, which then led to the Sullivan Civic Center, which leads to the 9th annual Taste of Sullivan event, which was one of the first events there. And it just continues that synergy, and then the granddaddy of them all. Eventually here, our dates kind of continue to move back and forth. Won't get into a whole lot of details there, but eventually the private sector with ready money, with American Rescue Plan money, the private sector, the city's investment, which will eventually bring a 65-room hotel into the middle of downtown in an area where the only thing we were housing was feral cats, right? Yeah. And they weren't paying innkeeper's tax, right? So you talk about the full transformation, but it started with that spark from O.C.R.A. O.C.R.A. wasn't going to make the city of Sullivan whole, but it provided that spark, just like with the tornado recovery. I kind of compare it. The federal government, state government, local government can't make you whole, but we can come together with programs like this to spark.
So and that's the type of thing that we see. I mean, this is a great story, but that's the type of thing that O.C.R.A. sees, and that's what's rewarding about the job that I have and the staff that I have that is passionate about going to a community. I think my first check that I delivered as the director of O.C.R.A. Was to Universal Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Vermilion County, a $500,000 wastewater project. Very sexy, right?
Yeah.
But it provided clean water for this community.
And we've received wastewater and stormwater money from O.C.R.A.
But it changed the trajectory of the community because again there was like, okay, we're never going to attract anybody else to our community if we have this problem.
Yes.
Well, we solved our money helped solve this problem.
Yes.
And now we can move on to bigger things. Right. And so that's to see. To make that call to somebody and say, hey, congratulations, or we're going to help you solve a problem, is one of the most rewarding things at this job.
And in closing on that topic, obviously it's been kind of delayed because we've had some back and forth, but we've talked about the fire station and public safety.
Right.
And we've been awarded a $500,000 grant through O.C.R.A. now. We did file an extension letter, but we're getting close.
There's something that kind of got in your way here.
Yeah, there's just a couple different things
that's kind of slowed you down a little bit.
That have kind of come together, but we continue to move. So whether it's the central school demolition, whether it's taking care of stormwater, O.C.R.A. took care of the stormwater on Section Street that had been flooding for 40 years, and now it's going to help our fire department, public safety there.
And one of the things that I have to say that some of the things that we do, and most of the things that we do in trying to work with our rural communities is, it's kind of a little cliche maybe, but there's a lot of times that we just provide hope. I mean, there's a hope that we can overcome some of these issues.
Sure.
And I want to give Clint a little. We have 6 regions that we divide the state into 6 regions, and we have a community liaison that works in each region directly. We have a person that comes visits. Sarah comes and sees the mayor. We talk through the mayors about these local things. So we had a regional set of regional conferences. We had a conference in each of our 6 regions over the last year. We had done this prior to the pandemic, so we brought it back. And we were putting the program together, and we said, well, we need a keynote speaker. Well, we need somebody that can fire the folks up, can get people going about what it's like to live in rural Indiana. And I had about one name on the list that I said, I know, I got a guy. I got a guy.
Yeah.
So I called my friend Clint and I said, can you be the guy that closes this? We had a lot of great sessions about the types of things we do.
Yes.
And which are very, they're great subjects, but they're a little dry every once in a while.
Yeah.
But I need somebody to send them out the door running.
You picked the right one.
And I picked Mayor Lamb, and we were blessed to go across the state of Indiana, 6 different locations. Yeah. And Mayor Lamb was our keynote address. He closed the door for us and sent people out running screaming and ready to go. And but I wanted to personally thank Mayor Lamb. There was nobody, because it was real. I mean, what you take time to care. We talked about that. I mean, it's not a slogan. It's a lifestyle.
That's right.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for inviting me to participate. Thank you for the Fighting O.C.R.A Award.
Fighting O.C.R.A Award. We'll talk about that later. But
yeah, and we talked about this. So and kind of, which is a great segue into our next guest that's getting ready to join us here. We talk about the physical, whether it's a new fire station, whether it's taking care of infrastructure, where it's tearing down an old school, whether it's providing beautiful sidewalks and ADA accessible sidewalks in your downtown. These are physical. These are physical amenities in your community, right? But how many times have you heard me say, you can have the most beautiful civic center and city pool and a vibrant downtown, but if the emotional and spiritual well-being of your community is defeated, then none of that really matters. Mm-hmm. And we all know that the month of September was the Mental Health Awareness Month, talking about the emotional and the spiritual well-being of your community. But just because the month of September is no longer here, the mission continues. The advocacy must continue to push that greater good message and uplift the people of our community in whatever capacity we can. But what's near and dear to me, and I know Mayor Spinner, I know it's near and dear to the Lieutenant Governor, is the spiritual and emotional well-being. So before I left office, this is something near and dear to me. I wanted to make sure that we continue to advocate this up till December 31st in this office, use the bully pulpit, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'm going to continue to advocate. I don't need the title of mayor to be able to do that. So without any further ado, we'd like to welcome our next special guest, very special guest, Sullivan's very own, Mr. Mike Frey. Mike, welcome to the show this morning. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, have a seat.
Have a seat, Mike.
So we talk a lot about this on the show. We talked about mental health awareness. We declared it last month. You've kind of been sitting in the green room to the side there, kind of hearing a lot about a lot of the things that we've been talking about. And if you want to stick around here for a second, because I'd like to start with, we talked about the summer series, right, that we went across the state to the different regions, and talk about how this whole thing comes full circle. I walk in. As you know, I don't really prepare my remarks very well.
Which is very scary.
We just kind of wing it. Yeah. I mean, the fact that he had the courage to give me a microphone without any notes or talking points. But you kind of have an idea, and I always try to go in and kind of read the room first. I always ask for a list, who's here? Because there's no use of me talking about broadband if there's nobody there that relates to that or this subject if it's not relatable. So you kind of see who's in the room. So I'm kind of putting my thoughts together. Okay, I see the list of who's there, community foundation people, executive directors. So I think I've got my crap together, right? And I start to sit down. And a friend of mine and a friend of Mayor Spinner's, close friend, you talk about an advocate, another crazy guy in Southeast, well, maybe Central Indiana, whatever you want to call it, in the city of Rushville, Brian Sheehan comes up to me. And I think I'm ready to go. Of course, I'm an emotional guy anyway. Mm-hmm. So like, Brian, you just totally threw me off here. So he walks up to me before this conference, okay? And he hands me this card. And he says, you know this guy? And I said,
wow.
That's going to be a tough one. I'm sorry, brother, right off the bat. It's fine.
Wow. How about that?
And I said, yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
I said, my kids knew that guy. And you talk about a total curveball here. And he said, I found this in Rushville, sitting on a sidewalk.
Wow.
And he said, I don't know what it is. I Googled the guy, and he said he was floored that this guy was from Sullivan.
Yeah.
Because I'm such good friends with Mayor Pavey and Brian Sheehan. And he said, I don't know what this will do. He said, it's not much. He said, but I want to give you $100. He goes, I don't know your community. He said, but if that can make an impact somehow, I don't know how. It's just my little seed, my act of kindness, and I want you to take this back to Sullivan. So I'm getting ready. I have to go up at a podium, right? And I've got to talk about all the great things going, and I've just totally been, because obviously mental health is important to me. But mental health is more than a catchphrase. Mental health is more than a hashtag. Mental health are not statistics on a spreadsheet. They are people. They are real people that are struggling, that have struggled, and that continue to struggle, and to continue to take rough situations and make the best out of them, right? So I was so inspired to see this, and I know Lieutenant Governor continues to push this message.
She's chairs the mental health roundtable. We've had conferences. This is something that as part of the things that O.C.R.A is changing about. I talked about all but there is the mental aspect to this. And so the Lieutenant Governor has been very strong about recovery housing programs, which O.C.R.A has never had before.
Going into uncharted territory.
We're going into owner-occupied rehab programs, which allows people to stay in their homes and to feel so. So these are things that we're doing. And I know you said you've met the Lieutenant Governor,
yes.
and this is something that she's very passionate about. And I want to, Clint shared this story with me, and that's the connectivity that we have here in Indiana. The mayor of Rushville came in at the same time.
Class of 2011.
Class of 2011.
O.C.R.A community.
O.C.R.A community.
Close friends.
The caring that goes across, and I'm just honored to be here to see this.
He was standing there when that happened, and he'd been wanting to come on the show.
Yeah.
I wanted to advocate. Brian Sheehan handed me this, and I wanted to invite him before the year was up. And you talk about the stars aligning. And I said, we're just going to have a show. Let's do it at the same time. So for those of you that didn't see what I passed to Mike, there was a card in loving memory of Cade Frey. No act of kindness is ever wasted. Pass it on. And it's hashtag kindness for Cade. I'm going to move this chair out of the way. So I wanted to officially present this to you. Didn't mean to put you on the spot by any means. But I think it's so important that, like I said earlier, that we don't just sit and blow off about these things, but it really impacts real people and real families. So please kind of talk, if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about our buddy. Talk to us about the journey that you've been on and what you hope to continue to advocate for.
So, this card, you told me the story when you called me last month about this. That was at a car show up in Rushville that we decided one day, hey, we want to take Cade's truck to a car show, and decided to drive 2.5 hours up there.
Yeah, that's no easy way to get to
whenever Becky and I go to car shows, we hand out Hot Wheels to kids. Cade loved Hot Wheels when he was growing up, and just something we do. There's nothing really helps us more than seeing a young kid standing at the front of Cade's truck with 10 different Hot Wheels out there, 20 Hot Wheels, and he can't decide which one he wants to take home.
Yeah.
And he just looks back and forth. And that's the hardest decision that kid's going to make all day, is what car he wants for free. And we tell Cade's story. He did pass away from suicide, so the mental health really affects us a lot. But he also was an organ donor. Wow. And we advocate for suicide awareness, suicide prevention, and organ donation also. He was able to save 5 lives. He was able to donate his heart, his lungs, his kidneys, pancreas, liver, his corneas, bones from his back and his pelvis and skin.
Wow.
And veins from his legs.
That's amazing.
So he will continue to help so many people after his passing.
Sure. So that's obviously the impact that he made.
Yes.
Obviously, Cade obviously struggled, and sometimes we don't even know.
We don't
even
know.
dads. And I can honestly say, as awful as it was, you talk about still continuing to mourn and gradually recover. But the conversations that I had with Kennedy and Dawson, and I think a lot of folks in the Sullivan community had, but the inspiration to see you take a horrific event and continue to do the Hot Wheels and takes Cade truck around. I hope people in Sullivan know this message, but I want to make sure we keep repeating it and we keep talking about it. And the fact, like this here hits on another part of the state and these acts of kindness, if you could kind of talk about since then. And I also know that you've also kind of worked with the Team of Mercy here in the Wabash Valley. We've had Lisa Stepro. I'm not sure if she was a guest on the show, but I know I've talked to her many times. Lisa Stepro is an advocate for suicide awareness here, mental health awareness. I know the Recovery Cafe here on the south side of the square. We just had a ribbon cutting last week for Christina Hall. So there are more services and things like that available. But a lot of times, I don't care how many services and things you have available. at the end of the day, it's still difficult to utilize some of those services and to get connected, because I'm sure that's the last thing on people's mind that are struggling. I'm going to call a number.
Exactly.
So while the programs are great and we appreciate them, I've just, and forgive me if I'm stepping out of bounds here, I think these one-on-one discussions are vital. I think they're important. I think it's calming the waters down in a crazy, polarizing world, and making sure that people do know that they are important and their life matters. And when you think nobody cares, somebody does care. So repeating just that message alone, and that's kind of what you've been able to do in these acts of kindness. So could you tell us a little bit about since then, some other than the going to Rushville, some of the things you might have done and continue to do, and what your message is for folks that might be watching today?
We try to do anything positive we can for kids, not just for kids, I guess for anyone.
Sure.
There's just there's so many bad things that are happening right now. We're just trying to make a positive influence. We found out so many things after Cade passed away. He's been gone almost 3 years now, which time just flies by. Yeah. It'll come up 3 years this November. We found out so many things, that how kind he was and how many things that he did from his friends that us as parents, we don't know.
Didn't realize.
One thing I love to go into schools and talk. I've been to Shakamak already. I actually got a message last night from Mrs. Horn up at North Central.
Right.
She asked me, "Hey, when can you come in and talk to the students?" I love to go in and talk to the kids. One of the main things I talk to the kids about is, which my kids are grown, but how much time do you see your kids a day?
And when you do see them, are you really in tune with what's going on?
Yeah, you're not. But
in the evenings,
hopefully in the morning you tell them good morning. Hopefully,
I had the privilege to be able to drop 2 of my girls off at school, but that's a 10-minute window.
Yeah, 10 minutes there. Hopefully you sit down for dinner every night. And maybe if they don't have sports, if they're not working, if you're not working, so maybe an hour a day you see them. But one thing I talk to them about is their friends. They are on social media with their friends all the time. There's
never a disconnect.
Never. I mean, they may text you good morning or what's going on for the rest of the day, but their friends are the ones that know what's going on with these kids. They know if they're having a bad day. They know if they're having what's going on with school, with a breakup or sports or anything like that. So us as parents, we don't know what's going on with our kids' lives anymore. We just see such a very small portion of it. And same way with Cade. I mean, I didn't know everything that was going on with him. I was, like most of the community, I was shocked to know when this happened with Cade. Yeah. But I'm sure there are friends that may have saw something, may have known something, because they talk all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what kids do now. They're on social media. They're on whatever.
Waking up at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they're still
talking,
connected.
They're still connected.
Yeah.
And so the kids know if something's going on with someone.
Did you get any information from his friends that something was going on?
No, really didn't.
Really, yeah.
Really didn't.
And that's
I actually talked to him the night before, 9:00 the night before. He was great. He was with his friends over in Linton.
Wow.
Just got started to work out at a fitness center over there.
Yes.
Just got a membership that night.
Yeah.
Because they was planning a trip. So everything was great the night before.
Isn't that something?
From 9:00 to 7:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah.
One thing I really talk about also when I go to the schools is everybody has a bad day. Everybody has a bad hour.
Right.
I think Cade had something happen that morning. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
But he had something happen.
Yes.
It doesn't, just because you have a bad day doesn't mean
Yes.
you don't.
That's
you won't
temporary.
It is. It's very temporary.
And these are permanent decisions we
It is.
make.
It is.
Temporary pain.
It's a permanent situation, a permanent reaction to temporary situation. I mean, there's so many good things that happen, but everyone focuses on these bad things. And that's when I talk and say, okay, time goes by so fast, and you may have had a bad test last week, but think of all the good tests you had. When I talk to the kids, think of all the A's you got. Don't think of that one bad grade you got. Think of all the good ones you got.
And to know that, and it's so hard. We tell kids that But these 12 years that they're going through school, especially those hard years like sixth grade through, those adolescent years, they're really a blip on the radar of their
Such
entire life.
Small
But
time.
for whatever reason, society puts such an emphasis on you're going to be made, you're going to make it or break it from sixth grade to a senior year. And unfortunately, sometimes I find that, particularly in small rural communities, that those are the best years of your life. And if you don't do it now, it's done forever. And we have seen so many success stories of people that might have struggled, that might have been bullied, that might have had their ups and downs and their emotional well-being wasn't together, that have been vibrant and they're making an impact. I know.
Yeah.
One of them sitting in this chair that has gone through ups and downs and bouts of depression in their early years. And maybe part of it's age. You get older and you can maybe handle it more. But there's times, I joke about this, but I mean it. Like, I don't want to downplay bipolar, but I always say if you're not bipolar before you become mayor, you get bouts of it because the highs are amazing, those wins, and the lows, you just think, what in the world am I doing here? And there have been so many tough times, and very rarely do you see an elected official actually admit, hey, I'm struggling here. I'm tired of this. This is tough. Especially a sixth grader or a seventh grader, eighth grader, or a senior, or whatever the case may be. And to say that my family hasn't had ups and downs, and Jamie and I have had to sit down, and if there's ever any silver lining to it at all, and I hate it for you, Mike, but I can assure you, I know Kate has been brought up numerous times in our family conversations. So I'm glad to hear the impact he made being an organ donor, but I can tell you, just this morning, I text Kennedy and Dawson, good morning, I love you, be sure to tune in on the show. Kate's dad's going to join us.
So as we sit here and talk about this today, Mike, is there anything you want to say to the community about how they could help? Is there anything that we could do as a community?
To advocate, to help the cause.
To help.
It's not so much advocating, I don't believe, for the cause. I mean, I didn't go to school for any of this. I'm just a father who's lost her son. And this is all I know.
Right.
If you see someone having a bad day, tell this one story, and I'm not sure who the person is, who this child is, but we had the funeral for Cade during COVID. I have amazing friends, and we had it at the fairgrounds. And this mother and their son pulled up to me and said, "You don't know me, this is my son." I don't remember his name. I mean, I really wish I did. And he says, "My son was having a hard time. This isn't someone Cade played soccer. He didn't ride dirt bikes. He didn't race with. He didn't do anything like this. This is just some kid that he saw was having a rough time." And Cade would always talk to this kid. "Hey, hope you're having a good day. What's going on?" Stuff like that. Cade wasn't there to fix his problems, but he just was there for the kid. And Cade told this kid, "I want to see you at graduation." He knew this kid was having a hard time. And Cade would talk to this kid every once in a while. I don't think they really did anything.
Right.
But when graduation happened in 2020, the first thing Cade did was go over to this kid and hug this kid and say, "I'm so glad you're here. I'm so happy you're here."
Wow.
I had no idea of any of this. So Cade would do anything for anybody else. Just him talking to this kid, being there, helped this kid through it. This is what the mother said. She thinks that's the reason her son was still there is because of Cade.
We talked about the bad triggers.
Yes.
But these are the good ways.
This was the good. And
yes.
he knew that something wasn't right, just like his parents didn't know anything was right. But she found all this out after Cade passed away.
Wow.
And I found all this also. But he would do anything for anybody else. But then he wouldn't help himself.
Right.
Which is just terrible. But just going out, and if you see someone having a bad day, you don't have to fix their problems. You don't have to know what's going on. They just need to know that someone's there.
We're not going to make them whole, are we?
No, you're not. But for that small time, if you can help them out, and you can you can just make their day a little better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's all.
time
And
to care.
that's what
Absolutely.
we
That's
try to
the
do.
message. And be genuine.
Yeah.
Watch out for your friends and neighbors.
Yes.
Show love, compassion.
Right.
Scripture tells us to love our neighbors. We love ourselves, right? And genuinely do it, not just a passage.
So true.
I so agree with you, Mike. That's why I really wanted you on the show because, like you said, you're not a professional. This isn't you're not an advocate per se. It's just how can you take a tragic situation and impact others' lives, even if it's just temporarily.
Just
if you can be there, a smile, a handshake, a hug,
Just a
whatever,
card.
a small contribution
Very-
to
yes.
put towards something that we.
Yeah.
It's planting that seed and hoping it grows.
We're not looking for anything. I just want. We said whenever we started all this, if we can help one family from feeling the way that we feel, that's all I care about. And I know we've done that. So if I can just help one more family,
Awesome.
Yes.
that's all I can. That's all I can do. And
That's wonderful.
just tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's a better day. Depending on how. Hopefully the game goes great tonight. If it doesn't,
It's not the end of the
it's
world.
not the end of the world.
Right.
Nope.
None of this stuff really matters,
Yeah.
does it?
It really doesn't. I know, like you said, so much emphasis put on sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. Finding when you're a senior, you should know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. You
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to decide here in the next 87 days what
yeah.
I'm going to do when I grow up.
Yeah. I still don't know yet. I've been doing the same thing for 30 years and I still don't know. But when I go to these schools, I said, you think this is hard now? Wait till you have kids. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's the best thing ever.
Absolutely.
It's the greatest thing ever to have kids, and it's going to be hard, and you're not going to know what to do sometimes, but everybody's gotten through it, and the greatest times, greatest years are still to come.
Absolutely.
So,
Mike, thank you so much, brother, for coming on the show today. We appreciate you.
thank you very much for everything.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Yep.
It's a pleasure
Good
to
job.
have you here.
Yes.
Pleasure to have you here.
And if there's ever anything we can do,
Yes.
Yeah.
feel free to reach out and holler at us.
Thank you
Yeah.
very
All
much.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Frey, kind enough to join us here this morning on Monthly Chat with the Mayor. We thank Mayor Skinner for being with us here today. This has been one of our best shows we probably have ever
I think it
had.
is.
So
I think, John, here
touched
we're
a lot
wrapping
of-
it up here.
Yeah, we touched a lot
and
of
we kind of went over today, but that's okay because we started a little bit late, and it was worth it. It was
was.
worth every moment. We appreciate our special guest, Mayor Spinner. He's doing a great job at O.C.R.A, like we talked to. He was such an inspiration, and it's funny because Mayor's Institute and the different Indiana Conference of Mayors and things we do, I've talked about it, how we can learn from each other. Hey, did you have this problem? Did you have that problem? But I can't tell you the psychological effects of just having that brotherhood and sisterhood. Sister Kathy, there's several mayors out there, just to be able to come together, because at the end of the day, it's a crazy position and nobody understands it like somebody else. So sometimes the conference itself wasn't always the classes where you learn the most. It was afterwards when you could come together and just kind of blow off. And,
Right.
because we don't know what those triggers are. So whether you're the mayor of a small city, a large city, whether you're the director of O.C.R.A, whether you're the lieutenant governor of the state of Indiana, Suzanne Crouch, she understands the mental health approach, or whether you're just a dad here in Sullivan trying to run a business, love his family, miss his son, but also try to make something positive out of a rough situation.
Yes.
It happens, guys. It's this thing called life.
Yeah.
That we're just all in it together. We truly are. So, John, it was a great show. It's going to be a great October.
Yes.
So many great things going on. Very wind to the beginning of the show, and you can catch up on all the great events going on here in the month of October. And as always, we encourage you to get involved, genuinely live by the city motto, take time to care, find a way to plug in, whether it's long-term tornado recovery. We're definitely going to need your help October 10th. Please check in there. An act of kindness, right? Be sure today to be that uplifting individual that can help make an impact in an individual's life or on a wider basis all across the community in this great state.
Amen. Love that.
Have a great weekend, folks,
Yes.
and tune in next month. We will be here the first Friday of November with special guests coming on for the next few shows. So that's all the time we have for this time.
Until next time.
Have a good time.
In the meantime,
Keep your dial tuned to 95.3 WNDI and right here at the City of Sullivan Facebook page. Goodbye, everybody, from Sullivan City Hall.
thank you.